I'll give you a little intro on like why this is here in the raw food training, why it might be important to look at the study of the tonic herbs from a raw foodist perspective, and then we'll talk a little bit about the ancient wisdom that's come through thousands of years and spans across many cultures. Okay, so when I first started eating raw food, I was just eating 80% raw. My body was good. I was eating a cooked meal at night, and the rest of my meals and snacks were all raw. And my body was good. But as soon as I went 100% raw, you know, I was pounding 2 to 3 litres of green smoothie a day, plus superfood smoothies with 25 superfoods in there. Then I was having a salad for lunch, you know, around 2 o'clock, and then for dinner I'd eat an avocado with sprouts and some, you know, like spirulina gamascio. It was really, really simple, but it was all moist foods. And I found after a few months that my bowel movements were just coming through really quickly. Is anybody experiencing that? Has anybody had that? Yeah. Is that everybody's like daily life? Like you just have really fast bowel movements? Yeah. It just comes out like boom, done.
Better than no bowel movements.
It's better than no bowel movements. Actually, it's the same as no bowel movements. It's the same.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's the same thing because your body's not assimilating the nutrients and it just wants it out. Okay. So this is a digestive imbalance. Your poos should be nice and creamy. They should just come out and snap off and done. Maybe one little wipe and it's over. Alright, who is that? Marquita? She loves it when I talk about poos. I can feel her facial expression. That's the ultimate, that's the goal. You want to get there on a raw food lifestyle and then you're assimilating everything, right? And that takes a while to transition into that. So we've got transition foods. You go to the cafe, there's a little bit of radical food. It's not there yet. I haven't created the radical menu yet. However, the food there, like the lasagnas and the pizzas and the burgers, they're all transitional foods. When we're making raw foods, we have super radical foods like superfood smoothies, like avocado with sprouts and spirulina gamascio as a meal. Like that's a radical concept for a person to say, if your friends came around and you put a white plate with half an avocado and some sprouts in there and spirulina gamascio, they would laugh. And they'd say, all right, well, this is the entree. You say, no, that's all you're eating, mate. That's a radical concept. So what we're doing is when you go on, like when you start off in the raw food lifestyle, there's this transitional process. And the transition is, let's say you're coming from eating meat and you just, let's say you've woken up one day and you said, oh, yeah, look, oh, I've got a dog, I wouldn't eat my dog, and wow, I wouldn't want to go and eat a cow either. What's the difference? They're all animals and they're all our brothers and sisters, and you have that awakening. You have that, okay, now I'm ready to go plant-based. Well, what am I going to do? Carrot sticks and hummus and avocado with sprouts, like that's just radical. So then we go on to these transitional foods. We learn about the foods that we're making here, we learn about lasagnas, we learn about burgers and sandwiches, and in that process, we're also transitioning our body. We're transitioning our belief systems and we're transitioning our physical body at the cellular level. The digestive system is composed of many different aspects that all make up the journey of food to the toilet. And part of that journey is a very unique set of organs, and it's called the spleen system. And the spleen system is made up of the spleen, the small intestine, the pancreas and the duodenum. So in Chinese herbalism, it's called the spleen system. Now what it's responsible for is steaming off the energy in food. And when it steams off the energy in food, that energy is moving up to the lung via the meridian and mixing with the oxygen energy, the oxygen chi. So there's chi in food, there's chi in movement, there's chi in water, and there's chi in your environment. Are we feeding our environment with the highest potential of chi that we can in every moment? Therefore we receive that back as a feedback loop, because that's exactly what's happening. If we're not integrated 100% with every conversation, every word, every action, then like what we saw last night in that documentary was a great explanation. We're just going to get that mirrored straight back to us. So the spleen system is a way to steam off that energy. It's really important that we understand that if you're transitioning into like, you know, the raw food movement, because what can happen is with all of these cold, moist foods is we can end up with a damp spleen. The Chinese call this a damp spleen. Now when the spleen is damp and it's moist and we have a lot of moist foods and smoothies and salads and things that are there, it becomes very sluggish. it doesn't operate. See, you'll hear people in, like, either people with opinions who think they're in the Ayurvedic world or the Chinese herbalist world, or people who are still in the Ayurvedic world and they've been taught a certain way. They will often say, you shouldn't eat raw foods. Ayurveda says don't eat raw foods. And it's super uneducated to say that, because it doesn't strictly say that. It says Ayurveda requires, and so does Chinese herbalism, as a system it requires the body to have a little bit of Agni, a little bit of heat, a little bit of fire. And when the body is in this state, when it has just a little bit of fire, has a little bit of enervation, it's like our ferments. We're creating a terrain so illness and sickness and bacteria can't set in. And we've actually got what they call rising qi. When we have a damp spleen, we end up with this sinking qi. We end up with, instead of the qi rising and emanating out of us, and you can tell when people have rising qi, they have this like beautiful energy coming out of their chest, and they're walking around and they're upright. You can see someone, when you look at someone, you say, well, what's their energy? Is it upright or is it down? You know, like, do they have good upright energy? What are they thinking? What are they putting in their body? And they can say, yeah, I'm eating the best foods ever, and their body will still be like that. And it's like, well, it's not working. This is directly related to how we metabolize food and how we metabolize our thoughts and emotions. So people can't, you know, they can walk around like this for a while, but eventually they'll be like down again. And different parts of the day, they'll have their energy up and energy down, and that's depending on, you know, what cycle of the circadian rhythms they're reflecting. Circadian rhythm is the sunrise and the sunset and how your body tunes into that, and that's why we have jet lag, because we go to another part of the planet that has a different circadian rhythm, and we have to adapt to that sunrise and sunset, and that's what jet lag is, our body adapting to that. So these plants have the capacity, inside them they have components or constituents called adaptogens, and I'll talk about that as well. So what happened was I had this damp spleen. I was feeling incredible, like I felt great, and I didn't want to change it. Like ethically, I was like doing things that I felt good about. I knew that the food I was putting in was like grown locally, and it was organic, and it was freshly harvested, and I was preparing it, or the people who were preparing it I knew all about, and I was feeling really good about it. So I didn't want to change anything. I was like, I'm going to keep doing that.
This was in the beginning.
This was, yeah, after 2 years of 80% raw, and then I just decided, it was a natural thing actually. What happened was I just went from eating like one cooked meal a day, like at dinner, to, because I was in a cold climate, and you know, it was nice to have, you know, I wasn't like eating it out of comfort. It was just like that's what you did at night. You sat around and you made like big bowl of steamed veggies and brown rice or whatever. But then the summer came and I felt really good. I was like, oh, I'll just eat something raw for dinner. I just felt really good. It was just natural. I didn't even think about it. And then it was just like 1 or 2 cooked meals a week. And then I thought about what I was doing, like a few weeks later. I was like, wow, I've just been, maybe I should just do because I wasn't trying to be 100% raw. I wasn't like going after this raw thing. I wasn't trying to fit into that world. I wanted to learn about it. I wanted to learn how raw food and yoga work together, but I wasn't necessarily wanting to be 100%. I hadn't really put a lot of thought into it. It just had naturally happened over summer. And then 6 months went past, and I was noticing that the bowel movements were coming out really fast, and I thought, that's not normal, that's not good, this can't go on for too long, but I'll just ride it out. When I start seeing other things that may be affected coming through my body, then I'll change it. But at the moment, I'm good with the fast bowel movements because I'm feeling good. Anyway, one day I'm out in the back of when I was working, we used to make our own tonic herb formulations and superfood formulations, and sell them in jars. Maybe some of you have heard of Samudra. And we had like a wall of something like 300 herbs. And there was a lot that I knew about, and there was a bunch that I had no idea about, particularly the Chinese herbs. And I thought, right, I'm going to get to, I'm managing this place, I'm going to get to know all these herbs. It's going to be a fun journey. So I just picked the first one off the shelf, which was astragalus.